So now when sociology started, right, or when there was emergence of sociology, during that time there was a immense prestige involved with respect to science, right? Science was giving solutions to things. Vaccines were getting developed, right? Machines were getting developed. Human work was getting reduced, right? So science was making so many discoveries, inventions, which were making people's life better. So the position of science was at the top, right? Science was becoming very important for the society. And now in this particular scenario, when there was a need for to study the society, the initial sociologists, they thought that society should also be studied in the similar way science studies it, right? We have to study it scientifically, right? We did it in the initial chapters, we need to have the scientific spirit. We need to use the scientific method to study it. What was scientific method? Given by whom? Francis Bacon, right? Generalizations and observations, right? So similar way, we'll have to study the society in scientific manner. So the initial sociologists who thought sociology as science of sociology, science of society, that we will use scientific method to study the society, right? We will have same value as the natural sciences. Same to natural sciences, we will develop theories like them. Those initial theoretical strands, they were known as positivism or positivistic. Right? So positivism, I'll explain that's a part of our lecture today. But simply you have to understand the classification of the theorist or the sociologist who advocated that society should be studied in the same manner as science. Observation, collection of facts, generalized theories, right? We're not making theory for just this class. We are making for entire society. Generalized theory on family, generalized theory on marriage, generalized theory on religion, generalized theory on suicide, right? Which will be applicable to each and every society because we are studying it in a scientific manner. Say, when natural sciences studies about gravity and comes up with a theory on gravity, right? So, or say laws of motion, right? Laws of motion are applicable to everywhere, right? It's not that in India laws of motion are different in US. It's same. So the initial sociologists wanted that we should have the same prestige which was attached to science. We don't want to get mixed up with common sense or a philosophy. We will be a science of society. So when this perception was there that we will study the society from a scientific point of view, using scientific methods, using facts, that came to be known as the positivistic methods, right? Which were later on developed into other minor branches out of it. So it was known as positivism, which was started, you can say, Saint Simon, Auguste Comte. They were all related to the positivism branch, right? Meaning of positivism we'll do. Why it is called positivism we'll do in few minutes, right? So these people, they were known as positivists who wanted to develop science of society. Like chemistry is there, like biology is there, like physics is there. We want to have science of society. Those were known as positivist, and the theoretical strand was known as positivism, right? Now this was further developed by other thinkers. After Auguste Comte, it was developed by Durkheim. So his view was also this: we have to study society scientifically And again, I am repeating, when I'm saying studying society scientifically, it means through facts, through reason, through logic, through scientific methods, through observation, and coming up with general laws. Laws are that are there in the science, same things. So he also, added on Comte's work, and plus his perspective was known as functionalism. Why? Because he saw function in everything which is present in the society. If family is present, there is a function, right? Even if poverty is present, functionalists think that there is some function of the poverty. If slums are present, I'm just giving, we will keep on discussing this in greater detail. Say, for example, if slums are present, functionalist will say slums are present because there is a function. What is the function of such a housing which doesn't have any sanitation, which is so poor? They provide cheap labor. If slums are not there, who will give you the cheap labor? Who will come and wash your dishes? Who will clean your car? Who will cook your food? Slums are sources of vote banks. Every year, politician will come up and say, we will improve your conditions, vote for us. They are a major chunk of vote banks. So according to functionalists, functionalism is a theoretical strand. Everything which is present in the society, it has a function, which will be later on refuted by other people, that there are certain dysfunctions also. Right? As we'll move forward, Merton will come up with this concept that everything doesn't have only function. There are negative things also, dysfunctions also. Right? So each thinker will keep on adding to what the previous thinker has said. So functionalist will also say corruption is present. It's not saying corruption is good, but it is saying it is present in the society. There might be some function they are fulfilling. Otherwise, if something is not fulfilling any function, why it would be present in the society? Corruption is present in the society because obviously accumulation of wealth. Second function, you can see people have low salaries, right? But increased working times. How do they compensate? They indulge in your corruption. Rules are so rigid. Red tapeism is there. Corruption is seen as a grease of economy, right? It leads to better and faster work. Corruption is a source of social mobility in the society. You gather more money, you will have a higher status now. You will have more money, you'll buy a house. So there is some function of corruption, right? Obviously, there are dysfunctions also, right? And it is eating the society, the systems like a termite from inside. Right? The poor people are suffering from it. But functionalist view is very different. That if something is present in the society, there has to be a function. Religion is present in the society, there is a function. Then another people will come that no, there are certain negatives. If religion was just for binding people, why there is religious fundamentalism? Why people are fighting on religion? Why within one religion there are different sects? Right? So this perspectives will keep on adding up. It's not that next thinkers are falsifying that this person was totally wrong, just ignore him. No, they just add on or they give a different view from it. They add on the previous thinkers' work. That okay, Durkheim talks about functions, but there are dysfunctions also. Let's talk about it. So a new theory comes up, right? So but his view is positivistic only. He wants to study society scientifically, plus wants to find out functions of the different things which he is studying. When he is studying religion, he wants to know the functions of religion, right? Then comes up a more refined version of functionalism that came to be known as structural functionalism. So they see the functions of different parts of the society, but at this, and I'm giving very simple meaning. It's not that simplistic. We will do all these things in detail, right? Just for initial understanding, I'm giving very simple meanings of these terms, right? We will do every strand in detail. Positivism is the topic for today. We will discuss positivism in detail. Then when we'll cover Durkheim, before covering Durkheim, we'll read about functionalism. Before covering Talcott Parson, we will cover about what is structural functionalism, right? So they said that, okay, functions are there, but they also talk about society being occurring as a system. It has a proper structure, right? That Talcott Parson talks about. Right? So everything is an addition. They studied society scientifically. Here, functionalism scientifically plus finding the function. Here, functions scientifically plus focusing on the structure of the society also. Here, structural functionalism, we usually add Talcott Parson, which is our second last thinker, which we'll be covering. Right? So, like this, different strands, different theoretical strands will keep on emerging as the society progresses, as different eras came about, different people started adding their different views from different windows. That let's look in this way, let's look in this way. So each added or enriched the subject, right? You cannot understand one thing from just one single theory. We have to see it from all the different directions. And all the thinkers are doing that particular job only. Right? So there is no right theory or wrong theory. That is just a perspective. Like I feel there is no right or wrong religion. It's just a different perspective to look at the supernatural power. Right? Okay. Then, opposite to positivism is non-positivism. Now, the thing about the positivistic theoretical strand is it focuses on society as a whole. It wants to study the big social institutions, family, marriage, culture, norms, right? And it believes that when we're talking about society, although it is made up of different individuals, but we cannot sum up society that, okay, society is equal to individual 1 plus individual 2 plus individual 4. No, it is not like this. It's not sum of aggregate of individual. Say, for example, when you make tea, although the tea is made with water, tea bag, sugar, right? But the end result is very different from the individual constituents. So similarly, positivists feel that studying about humans or individuals is not important, what they are thinking. End result, that is the society. When they come together, they form rules, they form culture, they form religion, they form family. That is more important. So we are not concerned with what I am thinking or you are thinking. As a whole, as a community, what are the rules? What are the bigger structures? We will study only that. Now, opposite to that, this approach came about, non-positivistic, which said that there is importance to study the micro aspect. This is known as macro aspect, larger view of the society. This says studying about the human action. What are his feelings behind it? What are his motivations behind it? That is also important. Right? Studying society, okay, it is fine, but it's not like humans are puppets, that they are just behaving according to what is told to them. They have their own mind. They have their own reasons. I gave this example before also. If one person is crying, the meaning behind the crying will differ. It's not just society, general meaning in society, somebody is crying, he's sad. No, there can be different, reasons behind it. Person might be very happy tears might be there. He might be very angry or frustrated, right? Or he is going through a very confused state, or he is very frustrated, right? Or probably he's grieving somebody, had a heartbreak. There can be different meanings, emotions, motivations behind it. Or he might be just false crying. He put a glycerin to show the world that, okay, he's crying. So just studying a larger structure is not enough. What are the individual motivations behind it? The micro perspective. Micro is the human, the individual actor. That is also very important. So this non-positivistic studies it from the micro perspective. This study it, say, take it as a picture that when we zoom out it, right? When we are seeing the bigger things, that is positivism. When we are zooming in, we are seeing single person, that is a micro perspective or that is a non-positivistic. Their focus differs. When we are talking about different theoretical strands, right? Previous classification we did was according to timeline. That first there was classical sociological theory initial time, then now there is a modern sociological theory. This is way in which what is the focus of study? Focus is the society as a whole. Here focus is, obviously they're studying society also, but focus is on the individual actor. What does he think about it? What are his motivations behind it? Right? And the pioneer here was Weber. Weber was like a link. He studied the individual perspective also, but he did study the larger social structures also. Like he studied about bureaucracy also, but he studied about human individual action, the meaning behind it also. So he's seen as a link between positivism and non-positivism, Max Weber, right? And his approach was known as interpretativism, interpreting what humans think, what are their motivations behind the action, right? That also needs to be studied, right? And taking a cue from here, other schools, symbolic interactionism, ethnomethodology, phenomenology, dramaturgy. We will do that in detail later on once 6 thinkers are done. These are the non-positivistic methodologies. Their focus of study is different. Where positivism focus is on society as a whole, right? Here focus is on the individual. If a person is going to temple, positivist will say this is going because they are following the religion. Society will not accept them. If a person is coming to the temple, he removes shoes outside, it's not his individual will. Somebody would want to go with shoes also, but he is not going because something is holding him back. Societal rules are holding him back. That is why he's not going with shoes. This person, these people, non-positivist, they will try to study from individual's perspective that why different individuals go to temple. For one person, it might be for a spiritual, orientation. For one person, might be that okay, probably I want to clear this exam. I will just please God, and He'll give me this in return. Right? One might be an atheist, but he's just making his father or mother happy, that they feel happy if I go to temple. I don't believe, but I will go because they feel happy about it. So their focus of study is very different. They want to study what an individual is thinking. Because when we're talking about humans, they're not just puppets in the hand of society. Because if we were puppets, then the society would have gone very smooth. We are different individuals whose perspective is very different. Right? Say, if we are preparing for UPSC, if you see it from macro perspective, it might appear you're preparing for a job exam. But is it really just a job exam? No, it's not. For some people, it's a source of social mobility. For some people, it is to show people that, okay, I come from a very humble background, but I can do, achieve these kind of things also. For some people, it's kind of a test for themselves that I'll show the world I'm worth of this. So your individual motivations are very different in nature. So their focus is on the individual. And it's not that they are wrong or they are right or they are wrong. Both of them are, they're just views that enriching our understanding about the society. Right? They're trying to understand the society from different angles. And we need to cover all these angles as we move forward. right? Are we clear now? Yes. So this approach is objective in nature. This is subjective in nature. This is objective because it is following science. It is collecting facts, right? This is different in nature, right? Now there are other miscellaneous, you know, what do you say, approaches which cannot be clubbed into positivistic or non-positivistic. They're known as critical, which hold a critical view about the society. So here, Marxist theorists will come. They will always find some problem. There will be a criticism in their tone. Feminist, right? And there are certain critical theorists, right? They will always be finding some criticism in the society, conflict in the society, right? Which is sometimes, because if you see it from functionalist perspective, they are putting very rosy picture of the society, that everything is fine, everything is functioning according to what is needed, right? Religion is important, family is important. These people will say there is certain problem here. We need to study from a critical perspective. So these branches also, you can say it as a third branch when we are doing this theoretical strand classification, neither come in positivistic, non-positivistic. Their focus is different. They want to do a critique of the society. They want to make it better, right? And it's not just leaving it at the criticism part. Marx, when he gave his theory of historical materialism, he just didn't, stop himself as criticizing capitalism. He gave a solution also. Bring communism. Your society will be equal in nature. So the critical theorists, they just don't stop at doing a critique of the society. They give solutions also, which is known, we'll read that, which is known by the word paraxis, giving a solution to something, so that a social reform happens. So that is also another perspective to study society. Yes, are we clear here? Up till now, are you having an idea here? Right now, you don't need to learn each and every classification. As we will read all these strands, this will come automatically to you, right? You don't need to specifically, keep on mugging up the facts or this table. This is just for an overview. Whenever we are reading something, just go back and see this table so that you can know where we are located right now, what we are studying right now, right? This classification is very important for that purpose, right? Usually students, when they are studying, they're just studying without a direction. These charts will provide you a direction. That today, if I'm studying Durkheim, okay, in which area I am located. If today I am studying Mead, where I am located. If I'm studying about Talcott Basan, where I am, right? Which is his branch, right? So these are basic foundational things which you should remember. At least when I say Durkheim, you should be knowing he's a functionalist. When I say Karl Marx, you should be knowing he's a critical theorist. He has a conflict perspective, right? If I'm talking about Talcott Parson, quickly you should know he's a structural functionalist. What are the features of structural functionalist? What is this theory? That we will do later on. But at least you should not say that Karl Marx is a positivistic. That should not happen. So the purpose of today's classification is this. You know the position of these thinkers and on which side they are. That's it. Right? Are we clear here? Okay. Now, similar thing is macro and micro perspective, which I explained you before also, right? Macro is a zoomed out approach. Society, its structures, its institutions. Micro perspective is zooming in, seeing the individual actor, right? This is more of an objective approach. This is more of your subjective approach. They are concerned about collecting facts, right? They are concerned about collecting data and then coming on a theories. And other perspectives which will come about, they will criticize also. There is one topic in the syllabus in sociology as science, critique of positivism. Critique of positivism is nothing but we'll do from this perspective. What all different micro perspective, how did they criticized this positivism? We will do that later on. Today we'll just do the general, classification and the meaning of positivism, right? So when positivists are there, they will try to study things scientifically through science, collect data, facts, and aim for general laws, right? Yes, are we clear here? Any doubt? Can we move forward? Yes, anyone, any doubt is there, please ask. Just take a printout of this classification and just put it near your study table, so that at all times you are aware which thinker we are needed, what is his perspective. That's it. Right? Can we proceed now? Okay. Now, first we will do positivism. Now, this chapter, positivism, it's a small chapter. It's there in your second block, sociology as science. And then the topics are positivism, critique of positivism, non-positivistic methodology. Non-positivistic methodology we'll do later on. Sociology as science, when the major things are done up, then we'll cover that part. That's a very easy part. Today we will just focus on positivism and its general criticism which has happened, right? Plus we will do very two small thinkers which are although not given in the syllabus, Saint Simon and Auguste Comte, but we will try to just understand how the conception of sociology started, what did they have to say at the initial start. Because if we study Durkheim without knowing what thinkers before him talked about, because he built up on that particular strand only, so we need to know a certain context about these thinkers. Very briefly we will do, you don't need to learn about these things, just a general knowledge is needed about these thinkers, right? Okay. Now, positivism is given in your syllabus as a separate, subtopic. So it means we need to know what is the meaning here of positivism. So if we have to define positivism in simple terms, I told you this is application of scientific method and spirit to study of society. Right? We want to study the society in the same manner as science studies, natural science studies. Right? We want to observe something, we want to collect the points, right? We want to know about the cause and effect and then form a theory, right? Background of this I've already explained. Background of positivism was sociology when started emerging, it was in an era where science has a lot of respect, because science was something which was predicting things, solving things, which was structured and generalized. You can apply it everywhere, right? Science was predicting that, okay, that tomorrow, because of the movement of planets, tomorrow there will be a solar eclipse, or after 10 days. Prediction value was there in science, which is always there. If any rule of motion is there, there is a prediction that if a bridge is not built properly, the curve is not given properly because of centripetal force, the vehicle will be out of the bridge. There is a predictability in science, right? Laws, when applied, they tell you the result, right? Prediction is possible. Then it leads to, it was at that time, it was leading to solving of problems. When there were epidemics, disease, vaccines were coming up, medicines were coming up, right? Understanding of human body in a better way. Machines were getting built up, right? So science at this point, it was like a king of all the subjects. It was predicting things, it was solving things, and the knowledge was structured in nature. It was not random, or it was not speculation, right? It was structured in nature where there was certain evidence behind it, right? And it was producing general laws of motions, laws of gravity, right? Or even evolution theory, right, which will be true for every human, even if he lives here or in abroad in other country. So science was having a lot of establishment in the society that this subject, this discipline is doing something very great, right? And with this background, when we had a need to study society, that okay, enlightenment period came up, right? We were influenced by the ideas there, scientific revolution, okay, we want to study it scientifically. Then French Revolution happened, Industrial Revolution happened, society changed, new social problems, new social condition, poverty is there, slums are there, right? Chaos is there, disorder is there. Now we need to study society, right? So the initial sociologist thought that now society will also be studied in the same manner as natural sciences. Otherwise, we will not establish ourselves as a separate discipline. Nobody will take us seriously. And we also want that sociology, the science of society, should be predicting things. That if this happens, right, the next step will be this. We should be able to do a prediction in the society, right? That if there is certain, say for example, social movements, there are different theories about social movements, right? I'm just giving example. We'll do this once we are on politics and society chapter. That there are certain steps which, if present in the society, social movement will happen, which starts from dissatisfaction among people. There is no other route to solve their grievances. So there are 5-6 steps a thinker has given, that if these steps are there in the society, social movement will happen. Whatever is the topic, women movement or SC movement or whatever is there. So if this is present in the society, this will happen. So we also want, the positivist thought, we also want that we should be able to do a certain prediction about the society, right? That if we do this particular thing, right? Say for example, there is a quote, teach a woman, teach a family. It's kind of a predicting value that women education empowerment is very important because it will lead to this, and this have been proven through various statistics, surveys also. Educated women tend to be better at family planning, right? Financially independent women, right? They have more say in the decision making. In fact, the nutrition level of the children are much better in educated mothers, right? So, and their children are more likely to be educated. So, this kind of prediction they wanted. And they realized that this prediction will be possible only if we observe the society with certain facts. We have an objective approach. We will try to understand things from fact perspective. What we can observe, empiricism, logic which we can apply. This approach, it was highly influenced by the times of that period, where science was at the top, right? So that is why initial sociologists wanted a science of society, which came to be known as positivism, right? Now this definition you write down in your notes. Any question on positivism is there, start with this proper definition. For understanding, it is scientific study of society. That's a simple meaning of positivism. That positivism theoretical strand means or stands for application of scientific spirit and methods to study of society. That's a simple layman understanding. But once there is a question about your positivism, try to include this definition, right? This is standard good definition, that positivism is the pioneer theoretical strand. The pioneer, it is clear, it is the initial theory which came up in sociology. In sociology, that sought to give immense cognitive prestige to the discipline. Its aim was to give prestige, to establish this discipline, to convince its adherents that sociology could be science too. This is not random. This is not common sense, right? And follow scientific methodology, principles of empiricism, reasoning, and general principles. This definition is taken from IGNU, right? And it covers everything. It is covering and telling that it's a pioneer starting of the sociological theories, right? Aim is to give prestige to the discipline so that they understand that sociology can be a science too. Their fixation or their obsession was this only of positivists, that people should understand that this is science. This is not common. That was required also at the start because philosophy was already talking about society. Psychology was also already talking about humans. Why do we need something separate? Right? So, and follow scientific methodology, reason, empiricism. So these keywords are very important. This definition from IGNU covers everything about positivism. So learn this definition. Any question on positivism, start with the definition. Even if there is a previous year question which says, do a critique of positivism from ethnomethodology and phenomenology perspective. So start will be with the definition of positivism only. And then you will tell that, okay, this is positivism and this is how these theoretical strands have criticized positivism. So this definition is very comprehensive in nature. Learn it properly. I should not see. Now, this is not wrong. If you write this definition also, this is not wrong, I would say. But we are aiming for not an average answer. We are aiming for a good answer. We want out of 10, 6.5 should be there. And that should start with the definition. Right? So now, today, we did a term positivism. So it's kind of starting of definition, you could say. Previously, we just did majorly the definition of sociology or scientific method. It's not that important, but this definition, it is very important. So whatever notes you're making, write down positivism and write down this definition. Keep on revising it. In UPSC preparation, you cannot function like you were doing in school or college, that you'll put forward a word and then just keep on mugging up, and then, usually in schools, students usually had an habit that, okay, their mother will ask them question and then they will repeat it, and that is how they used to learn it. You don't have to learn in that manner. You have to first identify the key terms, right? And then just keep on reading, keep on going back to this definition again and again. Right? Just read it, not with the intention that today I will learn each and every word which is given in this definition. Just read it, revise it. Then probably when you will solve 2-3 questions, right? In some question you will write the exact definition or some, answers. You will miss few words. Then after that, 2-3 answers, you will be learning the exact definition. So it comes with constant revision. Nobody is that, you're not a robot that you go flip through the play pages and everything, just learn it. It will not happen like that. You need to keep on going back to the definitions. So that is why revising daily is very important. Identify the keywords first, that these words need to be included in my definition. And then as you keep on revising every Sunday or after every 2 weeks, this will come naturally to you, right? Okay. So this is positivism, the initial theoretical strand in sociology. Now, when we're talking about positivism, now positivism word, right? What is the meaning? Why they have named it positivism? What is the meaning behind it? So it is derived from a Latin word, positivitas, right? Which means imposed on mind by experience, right? Imposed on mind by experience means that genuine knowledge, if you want genuine knowledge, it can be derived from scientific methods and observable facts, right? Imposed on mind by experience. It means we experience something, we observe something, we collect the facts, right? And then we are coming to a conclusion. So this positivism word was derived from it, which in simple terms you can say knowledge that is positively verifiable. You can verify it. You can collect evidence for it. You can collect facts for it. And its root lies in this word, positivus, the Latin word, which has this meaning, right? So positivism here means knowledge which is verifiable. And then there are certain people who also say that positivism word, came up because they were looking for a positive change in the society through sociology, that we will come up with a reform in the society, right? So that's another interpretation of the word, right? So if in case you forget the definition, right, you can start with this also. That's a second type of definition. That meaning is this and it stands for this particular thing. So basically, it rejects any speculation. Philosophy, what the philosophers were doing, they were just speculating things. Philosophy is basically speculation. Three people sit and then they philosophize about something, that this is there, this, that will happen. But positivism is different from that. We're not speculating something. We are trying to create a science of society. We will develop a structured, verifiable body of knowledge where there are general laws are there which are provable in nature. Right? We are not saying something sitting on the chair and we are not speculating about it. We went on field. We collected facts. We will see these things. When Durkheim will study suicide, he will get statistics from the coroner's office. Coroner is the person, like he's like a policeman who goes on the field to get the facts of the case. So from the coroner's office, he had statistics about suicide. He studied those statistics and then came on a theory of suicide. Right? There are obviously criticism about his theory also, but because he was from this particular strand only, who wanted to study sociology from a scientific, study society from a scientific point of view, they will always observe facts. They will be objective in their approach. They don't want any subjectivity. They're not interested in what 2-3 people think about it. Durkheim is not interested that, okay, one person was not feeling well or he didn't perform in exam and then he committed suicide. He said that's an individual experience. I want to study as a whole in the society. Are there any reasons present due to which a person commits suicide? And that he tallies with the statistics which he have. Right? So positivism stands for this, using science, scientifically studying the society. Right? Are we clear here? Okay. Now, what are the features, right? Taking a cue from here, what are the salient features of positivism? Salient feature is unity of method with natural sciences. Unity of method here means whatever methods natural science uses to study the natural phenomena around self. Natural science here is physics, chemistry, biology, geography, all these sciences. Right? Ours is sociology is a social science. It's not a natural science. Right? But we want similar kind of unity with respect to method. Whatever method they use. So we will see when we'll do research methods. Sociologists who are from positivistic branch, they even do lab experiments also. Lab experiments in the sense that they will say, for example, this is a room. They will treat it as their lab and they will observe what is happening. Right? Or participant observation. So different ways are there. So they will try to do the similar kind of things which a scientist does in lab, but now their lab is probably a community or probably a small society. Right? But their main aim is, and they're fixated on this idea. We want to study society as a science. We want to be on the same level as the science so that nobody can accuse us that this is common sense. Right? This I know. Why do we need to study these 10 books to understand society? I already knows about these things. But they will say that no, this is not common sense. This is not random knowledge. This is not speculations. We have followed the same steps which science follows, natural science follows. So that is one feature of your positivism. Then objectivity. Objectivity means without any bias or prejudice. Right? So if I am a woman, right, and I am probably doing a study on harassment which happens on public transport, right? So I have to keep aside my personal experience, right? My experience might be, no, I have never experienced it, right? But this is my personal view. This is my subjective view. When I am doing my study scientifically, I have to keep aside my biases, my prejudices, my preconceived notion. Preconceived notion is what I think already, that no, harassment is not present in the society, public transport, because I had never experienced it. Now that's a subjective approach. Positivism stands that when you're studying something, there should be no bias, there should be no prejudice. If you're a Brahmin studying caste system, you should not have this notion that Brahmins are the best and Dalits are not people worthy of respect. Or if you are probably a Muslim scholar, you're studying some with respect to other religion, you feel that no, these religions are bad, mine is the best. So this kind of bias or prejudice should not be there in a person who is studying society. Otherwise, you will have a very distorted view of the society. You're not giving a clear picture. Right? So if a scientist is studying about laws of motion, right, he doesn't just study that, okay, I'm studying laws of motion only for my village. That is not possible, right? He's studying for laws of village which will be applicable for everything, and whatever his preconceived notions are there with respect to gravity, he will not consider that. He might have made a lot of stories about it, but he's not interested. He will collect data about it, right? He will try to see different, through different experiments, through collection of facts, etc. Then he will come on a theory, right? So there is a objectivity in this approach. There is no bias, there is no discrimination in this approach. So positivists feel that whenever a sociologist goes on a field or when he's trying to study something, he should have this objective approach. That is very, very important. And that's an important feature of positivism. Objectivity has to be there, right? Then when we are studying everything, they are also focusing on cause and effect, right? That same like science, when it studies something, it tries to find a cause and tries to see what is the effect of it. We also want to do that, right? If something is happening in the society, we will see what is the cause behind it. We will try to develop a cause and effect relationship. Like Max Weber, when he studies about religion, right? This theory is very important. We'll cover when we'll come on Max Weber. He gives a theory, Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism. So according to his theory, he says that there are certain ethical values in one sect of Christianity, right? Protestantism, right? There are certain values in the religion which have made them successful capitalists. So there is a cause and there is an effect. He's studying religion from a cause and effect manner. Durkheim also studies religion like this. That why was religion needed? What was the cause? And what does it lead to? So they very much stress upon this cause and effect relationship when we are trying to see or read about positivism, right? Then empiricism, obviously, to observe things, to collect facts. Then generalization, that is very important. They want to develop general theories. A theory which is applicable across societies, across cultures, not just for one small part, not just from not just for one type of society. We need to have a general law about everything. General law about family, general law with respect to marriage, institution of marriage, general law with respect to poverty probably, right? Or stratification, theory of stratification, theory of power. General law has to be there, right? Same as is there in the science. So you can see it is heavily inspired by science. And this was kind of required also at the start. You're developing a new discipline, right? It is still birthing, right? It is still finding its place in, already there are so many, subjects present, so many discipline present. So it has to convince people that yes, we need it. Whatever we are finding, it is true in nature. We can predict things, we can control things, we can reform things. So for that time, science was required. But as we move further, as we start doing non-positivism, we'll require this conception changed. That now sociology is established, right? And even though Auguste Comte named sociology was established as a discipline, as a separate department in college in France by Durkheim. Right? So Durkheim is also seen as somebody who actually established the discipline. Right? Saint Simon, Auguste Comte, they just gave a background to it. Right? Comte named it as okay, sociology, but still there it was not being studied as a separate discipline. When Durkheim came up, he set up it as a separate department in the university. Right? When people who were studying it, they came to be known as sociologists. Right? And Saint Simon was not known as sociologist because name came very later on. But these people started studying about society, gave this perception that society needs to be studied scientifically. Right? Are we clear here? Okay. Then last, social engineering. Right? That same manner where science solves problem, we will use sociology for social engineering, right? To change the society, right? To bring a reform in the society. But before that, we need to study what is society, how does it function, right? How different institutions are impacting individuals. Once we studied them scientifically, now we want to reform also. We want to do a social engineering also. Right? So these were the salient features of positivism. Right? Now, obviously, whenever we'll do anything, any theory, there will always be a criticism. There will be a critique about a particular theory. Now, criticism, I told you, we'll be covering in two ways. We'll start this tomorrow also, but just criticism of any theory will be, this is general criticism. Right? Then there will be specific criticism. Specific criticism here will be given by interpretativist, symbolic interactionism, phenomenology, and ethnomethodology. But to understand that specific criticism, first we need to know about these things. Right? Because if I just tell you that interpretativist criticized positivism in this manner, but you don't know what is phenomenology, you don't know what is ethnomethodology, you not understand the critique. So in the next class, we'll just do the general criticism, and in fact, in general criticism, there are certain thinkers which have told about it. It's not a different theoretical strand, but they have just given certain view about that particular general criticism. So 2 or 3 criticism, we'll cover that. This part we'll do later on. Once we are done with positivism, once we are done with all the 6 thinkers, right, then our next approach will be your non-positivism. Although in between, when we'll start with need, right, so that is, Weber, we'll start with interpretatism. Then when we'll start with need, it will be a start of non-positivism only, and then we will continue other strands, right? Then we will again come back to this part, that how these strands have also criticized positivism. Up till now, in next class, we will just cover the general criticism, right? That how this branch has been, they have certain loopholes also. Right? It's not because obviously there were in the next few years, there were other theoretical strands which came up, which addressed the problems which positivism has. So we will cover this tomorrow. Tomorrow we will do a very small topics with respect to Saint Simon. It's hardly 5 or 10 minutes I talk about Saint Simon. 15-20 minutes about your Auguste Comte's very small theories there. We will just cover that. Then we will start with probably tomorrow Karl Marx. First thinker, major thinker will be Karl Marx, right? But this part is not like, especially the positivism part. There are special, there have been over the years, there have been questions about it. So knowing about positivism is very important, right? So we'll continue from here tomorrow. And please give your test. Don't miss your tests. Right, then after 4, then once the classes are over, then you keep on running behind the faculty that please check this, please check that. Why not do it while the classes are going on, right? And tests are designed in such a way that I'm not telling you that there will be a full 3-hour paper will be there. Just one question is there. One question hardly takes 15 or 20 minutes, right, when you're writing it initially. Don't miss on the test. And once we are in the next month, August, I have selected few days around the Independence Day weekend. Then we will have the bigger tests also, 10 questions test. 2 tests will be there around that weekend. So how will you be able to give a longer version of the test if you have not solved one single question, right? So be regular with the test giving. And 5 students here who raise their hand, please come and get your answers checked, right? Thank you.